Hello everyone, welcome back to another JCTCG video. So today we're going to talk about the danger of being a new collector slash investor slash grader slash business slash everything, okay? So first things first, I just want to say that a humble goal for the channel will be 100 subscribers, and I'll be giving away this Delta species side duck. Psych. Let's get to it. So you're browsing through YouTube, you run into an investor channel, right? They say, hey, Pokemon outpaced the S&P 500, right? You're like, wow, okay, that's interesting to see. My workplace tells me that I must contribute to my 401k, but we have here someone that is saying we should, I don't know, buy cards, right? Buy Pokemon cards. You know, that brings out your curiosity, because you think about when you were a kid, all those Pokemon cards that you used to have, right? Pokemon, you couldn't afford all of them, right? You remember opening that first Neo Genesis pack, right? And not being able to pull, you know, the Lugia, and, you know, that's all you have, right? So you're like, all right, you know what? We have these people here telling me that if I buy this Pokemon card booster box, whatever it is, I can make more money than the S&P 500, right? So, okay, you know, we have charts going up and down. The data is data, but the problem here is, as a beginner, you don't have the impulse control to actually hold anything sealed. So what ends up happening, you buy the booster box, you start looking into the set list, right? Let's say you bought Surgeon Sparks. You start looking into the set list, you see this Milotic, you see these Bootychu, right? Pikachu SIR. And you're like, well, if I open this box, maybe there's a Pikachu SIR in it. And you go and you open it. Bam. What's the price now? $300 for Surgeon Sparks? $300 on the drain. Or you got our common cards. Maybe if you were lucky, you got the Serial Edge, right? Illustration rare. Maybe, if you're lucky enough. So then you go, you look at it, everyone tells you, oh my God, Evolving Skies, it's gonna be the next team up, right? So you're like, what is team up? You go, you look up team up, you see that it is a 10K booster box, right? Costs $10,000. You see Evolving Skies at, I don't know, $2,700. You go, you buy it. All right, you're looking at it, okay, in 2 to 3 years, this is going to be $10,000. I'll triple my money and I'll be winning. What happens? You start looking into the set list. Oh my God, I could get an Umbreon VMAX. In a PSA 10, it goes for $45,000 to $5,000. I could double my money. So what you end up doing is you open up Evolving Skies, and you end up with a Medicham V or a Golurk, right? And you're down $2,700. You're wrecked. So I wanted to touch on that scenario because it is very common. Happened to me when I first started in this hobby. I see tons of people, friends, colleagues, right? They all talk about just ripping packs, and you know, if you're lucky enough and you put a chase, you are actually up on your money. But most of the time you're going to end up wrecked, right? And this is the number one thing most people don't tell you when you first get into the hobby, right? Everyone talks about charts going up and down, right? Everyone tells you about, hey, if you grade, or if you flip, or if you do this, if you churn and burn, right? That's like the big terminology, not churn and burn. Everyone wants to do it, right? But they don't tell you that if you get into the hobby, you're going to want to open everything. You're going to rip everything, and soon you will find out that you don't have unlimited funds, right? Like your money doesn't just grow on trees, or maybe you do, right? And in that case, you probably just don't give you don't give a shit, right? If you spend the money or not. But I don't think that's how real life works, right? Most people do not have unlimited funds, so therefore they end up in a best financial situation. Some start getting into ripping ships, right? They want to be for the community. They want to get in there and they want to open the pack, right? So they start using their credit cards, they get into debt, and next thing you know, you hate Pokemon. You hate everyone. You hate Pokemon because it led you into this financial ruin, and you know, you are responsible for it, right? You are a grown adult. You decided to spend your money. You didn't have any impulse control. So you made those decisions, and now you have to live with the consequences, right? So the problem is that there's no one here to help you, right? You put yourself in that situation. You have to get yourself out. The thing is that eventually you might keep doing your research. You're gonna run into like, hey, look, maybe if I had great cards, right? Like if I heard about this thing called PSA. I heard about this other company called CGC. And I heard that if I send them raw cards, they're able to put some plastic in it, give it a number, and I could make 30, 40, 50%, even double my money, right? Depending on the gem rate. So you start buying raw cards. Little did you know, there are specs, right? There has to be certain centering, no whitening, right? Certain spots, no dings, no creases. You didn't know that. You search eBay, you typed in near mint, illustration rare, right? You bought the first thing you saw because the seller had it as near mint, right? Next thing you know, you got a light plate and PSA gave it a 7. Too bad, you lost again. The thing is, everything in this hobby is trial by error. As a beginner, you're not gonna know that, right? You're gonna see all these YouTubers, they somehow got it all figured out, right? They all got the best entries, they bought everything below market, they bought everything at 70%. They never lose, right? And that is something you have to adjust. Another thing, right? Eventually, you start picking up your skill set, and you learn that if you can get good at grading, if you can get good at buying at a percentage, if you can get good at selling some of your products, you can definitely fund your hobby, right? You can definitely afford to rip some cards now in profits, and you don't care if the prices go down because it's in-house money. So the whole concept of experience this is really common in this hobby, and this happens every time we've had a big set that brings in a lot of people. 151, Prismatic Evolutions, Ascended Heroes, all of these sets brought in so many people who just wanted to rip the cards, right? And they just wanted to buy the product, and they stood in line and tried to scalp the product, and or they went online and they bought anything they could and they ripped it all because they wanted to get the got pack. I think we need more education in this market, but that's what makes this a market, right? In which education, trial and error, and if you have the experience, you can do very well. And I hope that this scenario that I just touched on actually rings bells and steers you in a direction in which you can actually just keep learning, right? And look, one last thing. If you did get wrecked on some plays, if you took some L's, just move forward. Stay in the hobby, continue to learn, because eventually it will pay off. Just don't make any reckless behavior with credit cards and leverage, right? Just continue to grow, continue to learn, and just have fun. That's the best thing you can do. So with that being said, I'm out. Peace.